Suns fired head coach Mike Budenholzer after just one season with the team. Phoenix finished with a 36-46 record and failed to even make the play-in tournament. Now they'll have to search for a new head coach for the third consecutive year. The Suns spent $367 million in salary and luxury tax this season, the second most in total expenditures in NBA history behind the Warriors last season, but had one of their worst seasons in the last 6 years. They finished the season 4-22 when Durant and Booker both did not play and missed the playoffs for the first time in the last 4 seasons. Okay, Marcus, starting with you, how much blame does KD deserve for the Suns' failed season?
I wouldn't say he deserved blame, right? I think it's a collective. You have 3 head coaches in the last 3 seasons. As a player, like, how can I get comfortable with guys that's going in and out, right? Like, if I'm going into the locker room and we don't have a connection with this coach, me and the other guys are saying, like, how are we going to get past this? The coach's not listening. I don't know if he sees what we're seeing out there, right? And then you got a guy like Devin Booker that's been there with Phoenix, that got guys like KD and Bill to come, and then they switching out coaches each year, right? That is the upper management. They have to have some guy or get a guy that actually fits the mold. Yes, you want to see guys play better. Yes, you want to see them gel. It's Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. Like, that has to work some way, but you have to put the onus on the organization to get a guy that these guys can gel with, and you know that's going to be there.
So we're talking about blame pie, right? For the Phoenix Suns, it's not sweet potato. It's not a sweet pie. It's more like key lime. It's sour. So the blame pie is happening. That's what we're giving out slices to. I would say it's probably equal slices to, not only front office, coach, but players. Everyone has to take a little bit of the blame. I remember it was about a year ago, Stephen A. I don't know if you remember when I said this, but after the Suns got swept by the T-Wolves, Matt Ishbia got to the microphone and said, guess what? The house is not burning down. The house is not burning down. We have another season to get this right. Do you remember what I said on this program? I said, the roof is on fire. And it burned down. Yeah. It burned down. This is a cautionary tale to all owners about the impact of the second apron. Meaning, if you go deep into the second apron trying to form a big 3, that big 3 better be Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. It better be a miracle big 3. It better work, because otherwise it truly hamstrings you. And I do think that Kevin Durant is the one player that they can look to and say, all right, we have a no-trade clause here with Bradley Beal. Devin Booker's our lifer. Kevin Durant, it seems like he gets the blame, even though he had still a tremendous season. 27 points per game, played 60-plus games. So I think the blame goes all the way around.
Okay. I get it. Let's get this out the way. I don't know Matt Ishbia, the owner for the Phoenix Suns. Josh Bartlestein, the CEO of the Phoenix Suns. We're going to omit or remove James Jones from this equation because he was there when they went to the finals. So he obviously has a clue about what he's doing. We ain't going to put him in this mix. Matt Ishbia needs to understand that right now you are on the verge of being recognized as the worst owner in the history of basketball. That's saying a lot. That's saying a lot. Donald Sterling once owned an NBA franchise. James Dolan, until he recently hired Leon Rose, was on that trajectory. That's the trajectory, if you're Matt Ishbia, that you are on right now, being recognized as arguably the worst owner in the history of basketball. Why? Your team goes to the finals. Since that time, you come along, got rid of Chris Paul, got rid of DeAndre Ayton, got rid of Cam Johnson, got rid of these guys, ultimately Mikal Bridges, he's gone too. Got rid of Coach Monty Williams. Not only did you get rid of Coach Monty Williams, you hired Frank Vogel, got rid of him after 1 year. You got rid of Mike Budenholzer 1 year after signing him to a 5-year deal in excess of $50 million. You spent $214 million in salary this last season, about $152 million in luxury tax dollars, which was both tops for the NBA. Yes, you got Kevin Durant. Yes, you got Bradley Beal with $111 million left on his deal. But in the process, you've given up the farm, like damn near 8 first-round picks for crying out. I don't even know what number it is, okay? You've just depleted your assets along the way. No one is more culpable for this particular question than the ownership. 98% of their problems falls on ownerships and the decisions that they have made. But we got to leave the 2% for Kevin Durant because of this reason. You're the star. Yes, Devin Booker's a face of the franchise, and he's a terrific offensive player, and we get that part. And he seems to be a lifer with the Phoenix Suns. They got to take care of him. He's got 2 years left on his deal. He may want out. I don't think so, though. But when you look at Kevin Durant, we know what a baller he is. The issue is that, as I reported in the past, leadership. When we talked about Jimmy Butler wanting to go to Phoenix, why did we say that? It wasn't just because Jimmy Buckets was going to give you 20 a night. It's because you knew that in that locker room, there was going to be somebody in there that wasn't considered soft, that wasn't considered somebody that, you know what, they're vulnerable. You can get up in them. Nobody's going to stop Kevin Durant. I'm not calling Kevin Durant soft. Please don't get me wrong. The brother's a Hall of Fame, one of the greatest players to have ever played basketball. But Kevin Durant, if you sit back and talk to him and watch his interviews and listen to him talk to people, what does he do? Hoop, man, get on the court. Hoop, hoop, hoop. That's all it takes. No, it's not. Not when you're assembling a team. Not when you're nurturing a team. Not when you're trying to elevate a team to championship caliber potential. This man was in Brooklyn, and over the last 5 years, he's been swept in the first round twice. He's gone past the first round once. He's missed the playoffs a couple of times. This is one of the greatest players we've ever seen, and this brother's home in April. Well, when you're that great, it calls upon you to be something more because your greatness demands it. We know what he can do as an individual, but in terms of galvanizing folks to soak every bit of potential out of them, even in a bad coaching situation or a bad culture situation, is hard and virtually impossible, as that may seem to some people. We have seen superstars in this league in bad conditions ultimately soak a little something more out of it than a 36-46 finish and being home and losing 9 of your last 10 games, even though they 3-17 without him. He on the court, that don't happen. But that's what we're talking about here when we're talking about Kevin Durant. That little element, that little extra oomph of leadership where you can soak out potential from others around you. That's what we're talking about. And that's where there's a touch of culpability, but most of it is on ownership, no doubt.
I have to agree with that in a small take, but Kevin Durant has never been a leader. He went to Golden State and won a championship. You had Draymond Green that was the leader of this team. If you're assembling a team, you have to know that this is not Kevin Durant's job to be the leader, to bring those guys in. Bring some other veterans that can get these guys going how they're supposed to. This is Devin Booker's team. Devin Booker can stand up and be able to be a leader as well. Kevin Durant has showed up every night. When he's on the court, as you said, he plays 26, 27 points a game. He scores the ball. Unfortunately, he has some minor injuries because when he is on the court, they play well. The West is a tough place to play, right? Like, let's just be clear. Every night he has tough opponents. I'm not saying Kevin Durant is a leader because we know he's not a leader. I'm not saying that he can't step into that role, but has he? He hasn't been a leader. When he was in Brooklyn, they had a chance to get to the finals. Kyrie Irving goes down. If a lot of this thing changed, if they're winning with this team, we're not talking about this, right? We're not talking about him being
Marcus,
a leader.
hold on.
He's never been that guy.
I'm asking you. Hold on for a second, because it's important. I'm not debating you on this. I'm deferring to you. I'm asking you, because we all know how great Kevin Durant is. And we know how phenomenal of a player he is. There's nothing to question there.
Yeah.
But he snapped at me when we talked about leadership, because people have been saying for years, he's not, that dude is not a leader. And when I said there was leadership lacking in the locker room, and that was the reason why. So again, understand, you're confirming what me and many, many others have said about what the problem was in Phoenix.
See, this doesn't sit all the way well with me because I think leadership comes in different forms.
Exactly.
I've played with a lot of teammates that are producers, but they're not vocal, but their consistency to me was leadership. There were times in Oklahoma City where Kevin Durant was a leader by how he showed up and continued to win them games. There were times in Golden State when he helped ice their games towards a championship, you know, as a finals MVP. Like, to me, the Brooklyn Nets experiment tarnished a lot. And then also this failed experiment is tarnishing a lot when it comes to that leadership conversation. But that's not just it, Stephen A. I think it's a bit hyperbolic to say Matt Ishbia could be the worst owner in sports. He first became an owner
in the
February
NBA.
7th. Oh, you said in the NBA. February 7th, 2023. Now, is he one of those guys that goes gambling and puts all his money in the center of the table?
Which I like.
What? Thank you. You make big swings, fine, but he's only been doing this for 2 years. And I think
Well, let me hold on.
Let her finish her thought one at a time,
But
please.
I think he's learned the biggest lesson. They don't control or own their pick in the draft until like 2032. They are going through it. And the best way to learn is through pain at times. So I wouldn't say that in these 2 years, he's now the worst owner in the NBA. I think he took a swing and missed, and now he's learning, and they're going to have to reconstruct.
I'm talking about what you've done at the moment. Certainly he could change, but I said you're on the verge of, and that's what I said, on the verge of being the worst. Why? Because you had assets. And you literally gave those assets away. And when you gave those assets away because you went all in, you said the house ain't burning and got Chiney Ogwumike coming on the air talking about the roof is on fire. That's what you said. And so you're talking about the roof being on fire for a dude that's a baby at this, a toddler at this. And in that quick of a time, you've made all of these decisions that ravaged a championship contender. And I don't get to sit up there and look at you and say, yo, do you realize with the decisions that you've made, you're on the verge of being the worst owner in NBA history? Who's giving up that amount of assets so quickly?
Let the record reflect, Stephen A. I hear you on that when they assembled this big three, most of us in NBA media thought it was going to work. Most of us who study the game and saw Kevin Durant as that isolation scorer that could work perfectly alongside Devin Booker because he doesn't need the ball in his hands all the time. Most of us thought that would work.
And what did we think about what did we think about the addition of Bradley Beal?
I thought it was okay. I was not mad at it. We're talking to my guys, Kendrick Perkins, Richard Jefferson. Everyone was like, oh, this is a team. Even the way that they started off this year, we're talking about how they righted the wrongs when it came to fourth quarters and to clutch times. Things went wrong quickly, but a lot of us thought this was going to work initially. Unfortunately, it is Matt Ishbia that is paying the deepest price.
And hold on, Stephen A. When you talk about Bradley Beal said when he went to Phoenix, listen, I'm going to be the guy that's going to be able to do everything. I want to win, right? Like, they all was bought into winning. It just didn't work.
Stephen A., she's not saying that he didn't make some concerning mistakes and errors, just saying that that's a little bit irresponsible of a title for him at this point.
2 years in.
It's not. Hold on. Wait. Hold on. Don't tell me that. It ain't irresponsible. I've been covering the NBA for 30 years. I get to say that if I want to say that. That's how I feel about the job that he has done in the last 2 years. It's not irresponsible for me to say that with the decisions that have been made and the results that have come from it. And by the way, Chiney, by the way, Marcus, let's be very, very clear, because I want to be very clear about what y'all are saying. So it's a little bit too much to say that about the owner. And it's a little bit too much to say that about KD. And it's a little bit too much to say that about Bradley Beal. But the Phoenix Suns were 10 games under 500 and have fired 2 championship coaches in 2 years. Frank Vogel won a championship. Mike Budenholzer won a championship. Both of them got multi-year, multi-million-dollar deals and were fired after 1 year in back-to-back seasons. So guess what? Based on what y'all saying, I guess I need to blame the equipment manager. I guess I need to blame the bus driver. I guess I need to blame somebody. I can't say anything about anybody. Nobody? Nobody?
Hold on. Chiney, I got this with him. Stephen A., I'm not going to let you do this. You're too brilliant. Extremes. I hate when you do extremes.
Yeah,
That's what you're doing right now. You're being extreme.
What they said. I can't.
Worst?
We
The
brought up
worst,
the owner.
Stephen
Oh,
A.
no.
James
We brought up
Dolan,
the
Donald
player. Oh, no.
Sterling. Like,
We brought up another player. Oh,
Donald
no.
Sterling.
What am I
You
supposed
want
to
me
do?
bring up some other owners?
That's what I was going to say. The context, please.
Like, worst owner? Like, we've had some really...
On the verge of being the worst owner, considering the multitude of moves that have not worked and the money and the assets it has caused a franchise.
Okay, so that's your opinion, and I was just summarizing where Chiney and Mark...
And I'll just lastly say this. Yes, he's made a lot of moves that has cost the franchise almost to the point of a full reset. One, that's owner. Two, the players take the blame, because if we're going to talk about leadership with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, everyone has said this is his team. You know, he sort of has that same low blood pressure type of situation where maybe he could have emerged as a little bit more of a leader. You can give that to him. Bradley Beal, he came in mid-range monster, but that fit was not great. Oftentimes when you saw him missing on the court or like dealing with a situation, the team sort of found their stride. So like the fit didn't work there. Everyone takes the blame. It's not just like we're saying it's just the owner or this. It's like
the question, however, was about Kevin Durant. Question asked, question answered.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, damn, I mentioned the owner, I mentioned a player, I mentioned another player, I mentioned the moves. I can't say anything.
You can say whatever you want, Stephen A. You're the star of the show. You can say whatever you want.
Just leave the equipment manager out of this.
Yeah, like seriously.
Like the bus driver? How about the bus driver?
Leave the ball boy.
Yeah, the ball boy, like, come on.
Leave the dance team out of it.
Hold on, how about the bus? Hold on, Shanae. Mark is going to laugh at this. How about the bus driver? Because unlike most teams in the league that got two, they got three. I mean...